Hi, everyone. Hello, my friends. Uh, Welcome to another Monday. No, I'm kidding. Welcome to another episode of The Salt Circle, where we embark on a transformative journey of self-healing at the crossroads of psychology and paganism. Um, we're focusing on practices such as shadow work, and we're addressing topics such as codependency, generational dysfunction, childhood trauma, navigating someone else's addiction, all sorts of dysfunction. So, no judgments, no shame, no, none of that. It's just a place to be authentic and to breathe. So, if nothing else, just remember to breathe with me. I feel like so often, especially when we're diving into ourselves, which can be uncomfortable, or when we're doing tasks that we don't necessarily want to be doing, we're clenching our jaws, our shoulders are up to our fucking eyeballs, we're holding our breath, and we're just, creating and storing a lot of tension within ourselves. So a really good way to fucking negate that is to breathe. Breathe and drink water. Breathe and drink water. Trust me, you're a plant, but with more complicated emotions. And a good way to remember about, breathing and shit is to pretend that you have a little inhaler, just a little invisible inhaler that you bring with you everywhere. Um, I had a very dear friend of mine years ago who taught me this trick, and it's basically that you just keep, this little inhaler, and anytime that you're angry or you're upset or anything is going wrong in your life, you're in a social situation you don't want to be at, whatever, you just shake your little inhaler and you just breathe. And you hold that shit like a bong rip, you know what I mean? And then push it out. Same shit that yogis have been teaching disciples up in the fucking way up mountains for thousands of years. It all starts with the breath. So while we go into these taboo and difficult topics, it's really important just to breathe, even if you're not interacting. you know. So our live episodes are really going to dissect the ingrained behaviors that we have and that we kind of need to unlearn. And it's going to illuminate hidden aspects of ourselves. That's basically the goal of, the SALT circle. We're going to employ tools such as, dream interpretation, which I think I'm especially I have a knack for. So if anyone wants any dreams interpreted, if anyone is curious about, healthier sleeping habits, please comment below because I definitely will get back to you. And the whole point of, these Monday live sessions are to foster a profound self-awareness and, our own evolution. So I hope we're able to do that. It's going to be every single Monday, 8 p.m. CST. We're on Kick right now, but we're also on YouTube. We're kind of on TikTok, so definitely check us out on all the places. We do have a Discord too, so if you want to chat between, live episodes, that's definitely the place to go. Every Monday we discuss self sorcery, and that's basically what I like to call it, but it's basically healing the self and getting to know the self and employing tools like shadow work and understanding what that is from a psychological perspective, but also a spiritual perspective. And then on Wednesdays, we're also going to have live episodes, but they're going to be specifically centered on the complexities and particularities of death, dying, and bereavement, especially through the scope of dysfunction. So if you are the caretaker to toxic people, or if you are no contact with a relative who, their hospice nurse has reached out to you, all these different aspects of death, dying, and bereavement, which is already a taboo topic, but we're going to dive even deeper into that tabooness and kind of dissect more of those complexities, So, that being said, hi, my name is Daniela, and I am the shaman, I guess, that will be, hosting this episode. So today we're doing an in-depth exploration about a transformative subject, shadow work. I see this term thrown around a lot, especially in social media. And what is shadow work? It seems like everyone can benefit and use shadow work. So what is that exactly? And we're also going to look at, the practical uses of it. Like, how does that fit into our daily life? Like, do I need to do shadow work? What does that look like for people? So, definitely stick around, definitely interact if you feel like this is a subject that like you might have some experience in, or you might have some questions in. That's what this, live stream, podcast, recording, whatever you want to call it, that's what it's for. So you don't have to feel shy and think, oh, I can't, type in my own personal experience. Please do. Please do. Don't feel like you can't. Like I said earlier, this is going to be a place of no judgment, no shame, and a place where we can really foster our own authenticity, regardless of where we're at in that, being genuine about ourselves. Like if you're in a really cunty mood, if you're being a fucking ass, fine, I get it, but tell us why. What's going on? If you're sad and you're depressive and you feel like you're being annoying, I get that. That's valid, but share it. I would love to be here for you, and I hope this is a place that you feel welcoming to, be yourself and be real and be raw, especially when talking about shadow work. So again, I kind of want to let like a few more people trickle in. So definitely, like, follow, subscribe, comment, message me, whatever you're comfortable with. But definitely want to give people the opportunity to do that. And, thank you for everyone who is watching. Love you guys. Kind of want to light more candles. I feel like we don't have enough candles lit. Whatever. So, shadow work. What is shadow work? I see a lot of therapists and psychologists and social workers and recovering drug addicts and, prostitutes who have no teeth and all these people. Everyone's talking about shadow work, but they're making it seem really scary, right? They're saying that shadow work is a powerful and transformative tool, and it's not to be taken lightly. And looking at these people, it looks like they have really serious credentials or really serious stories, so they deserve to have this platform, which is valid, they do. But I also feel like anyone and everyone can benefit from working on the shadow or the deeper hidden inner self. And shadow work doesn't have to necessarily be this painful and jarring session that we carve out time each week to rip ourselves open and, bleed and get sunburn and all this stuff. It doesn't have to be, this daunting task. Shadow work can be in little things, and shadow work can just be in awareness. So definitely I don't want to intimidate anyone with, what we're going to go over in this, stream, but, shadow work is a very powerful tool. That is correct. But I think it's also something that, just being nice to yourself, just talking to yourself in a kinder voice, and just understanding yourself that you might make mistakes and you need room to not be ashamed of that. Shadow work can just be remembering to drink some water in the morning. Shadow work can just be snapping yourself out of thinking something really terrible on your drive to work. It doesn't have to be this very structured, rigorous thing. There's a lot that shadow work can be. So anyway, let's backtrack a little bit. What is shadow work? We hear this term a lot lately, especially in the, whatever people of social media and whatever. So shadow work is a term. It's a practice, it's a principle, it's theory that was created in, I think, the 70s by a psychologist named Carl Jung. And I probably butchered his name, but whatever. Jung, pronounce it however you want. Dude's name was Carl, right? And it's gained a lot of traction in the psychology realm, but also in the spiritual realm. So it's very useful, right? We'll start with that. So in Jungian psychology, the shadow, right? The shadow is representing the inner hidden self. Just like if you are a zodiac horoscope natal chart bitch, the moon represents that inner deep hidden self. The shadow is the same thing. It is the face behind what we show everyone. When people say, oh, the mask flipped, that's what they're referring to. It's the face behind what you're presenting to the outside world. So to do, shadow work, that is dealing with the shadow, which is our, the parts of our personality that we have deemed unacceptable or undesirable, whether it's from family dysfunction, religious expectations, societal expectations, our own fucking hang-up, whatever it is. The shadow is referring to our deep-seated thoughts, our super deep down secrets, our pieces of ourselves that we try really hard to hide and pretend don't exist. So to explore that is to do shadow work. So shadow work is referring to the exploring and integrating of ourselves, the aspects that we have tossed aside or disowned. We're trying to make that part of who we are outwardly. We're not trying to hide that like we're ashamed or like it's this deep, dark secret, right? So by doing that, you can lead to really profound, self-healing and profound growth in yourself. The traits that we find unacceptable or incompatible with our self-image, we can't deny, ignore, or suppress that shadow. We have to kind of coexist with it. It might not be something that we think should be seen, but to have negative emotions and repressing that part of ourselves to the point where you don't even know about it or you ignore it completely, that's where a lot of issues come from, right? So the concept of shadow work revolves around understanding, sorry, there's a hair on my face. It comes around understanding and integrating our shadow with the rest of us. So a way to do that, as per Carl Jung's, psychotherapeutic analysis, what he believed we should be doing is as is. And I agree with him. It is the awareness and recognition. Becoming aware of these parts that you don't like. Just like in Al-Anon or in Coda, those support groups, the first part of the 12-step program, like in AA or in NA, is just to understand what you're doing, just to have some kind of recognition of your situation, So by becoming aware of the parts of yourself that you tend to repress or deny, like these can be emotions, desires, beliefs, personality traits, like by just understanding that those are things you don't like, even if it's something really simple, like I don't like how angry I get so easily. Or if it's something more deep-seated, like I don't like how I think of my grandfather dying is going to give me some type of relief emotionally. Whatever that thought is, just by acknowledging that that thought is there really does help a lot. Like saying the thought out completely and not judging yourself. Just allowing that thought to exist, to come out and to pass. And that's it. It's just a thought. And, just being aware that it's just a thought is really a powerful and important first step. The exploration and acceptance, the introspection to uncover the origins, the significance of this shadow, of this aspect, to acknowledge this part of yourself, that it is a part of yourself without that criticism. I feel that way about my grandpa because X, Y, and Z, and that's valid. I found what? I think I was 24 when I first heard someone tell me that, like, I validate your feelings. That was a sentence they used. And it seems so cookie cutter, psycho, jumbo, mumbo, wumbo, or whatever. But to just be told, I validate what you're saying and feeling, it was so powerful, right? Sorry, I think my shit was freezing. So you need to give yourself that, right? And then that integration and balance. So in Carl Jung's, in his, theory, I don't even think it's a theory. I think it's just kind of fact at this point. Instead of suppressing or disowning your shadow, you're striving to consciously integrate that into your everyday life or your reactions, your interactions, and things like that. This is a process that involves recognizing the shadow has valid and valuable aspects that contribute to you as a whole person. It's nothing to be ashamed of. So I'm just going to let you digest that. I also kind of feel like I want to put some more light on because it's getting kind of dark, but I think it's fine for right now. But you tell me otherwise if it's not. So that is shadow work in a nutshell, right? Now I kind of want to dive into the practical ways to integrate shadow work into, daily life. How can we engage in exercises or techniques for this profound journey, which can be painful or uncomfortable? Some people journal, some people sketch, some people analyze their dreams. I mean, that's what I like to do, and I find a lot of useful information in doing that. And if you'd like any, help analyzing dreams or, understanding what your dream patterns or symbolism could possibly mean, definitely hit me up because I'd love to go over that with you. Um, you know, to explore yourself. If you do that through dance, if you do that while meditating, you really need to tap into that. Um, Another, psychological thing that we could do for shadow work. I know a lot of people are very into, hard facts and science theories and parenthetical citation. It's called the Gestalt therapy. And this is pretty helpful. I kind of feel like a lot of people who say that they are maladaptively daydreaming are kind of self-imposing this therapy onto themselves. And Gestalt therapy focuses on bringing awareness to the parts of yourself that you have disowned or denied, much like shadow work, dealing with the shadow. So Gestalt therapy does this through techniques like role playing, empty chair dialogue where you just pretend that that person is there and you get it all out. And it sounds silly, but wait until you hear about psychodrama theory. It can really be profound, especially if that's what you need. And you shouldn't skimp on that if that is what you need. There's no shame in needing that, right? Mindfulness and meditation, like I said before, practices like that. If you're meditating in the car, when you're taking a shower, it's encouraging non-judgmental awareness. And you need to allow these thoughts to come and stay and pass without any judgment, any thought, any feeling one way or the other. And by mindfully being aware of these thoughts and letting them pass, and wanting to let them pass without judgment, it's a piece of meditation, by observing these concepts of our mind without attachment or aversion, we can uncover and accept these shadow aspects of ourselves. Some people do art therapy, drawing, journaling, painting, sculpting. That's all really expressive and really important. And especially when you're not worried about creating something good as you might expect it or as you might think people want you to, create. By just creating something that is cathartic, and you can utilize that. You can utilize art therapy in so many different ways, or body-centered therapies like yoga, massage therapy, taking a really nice ceremonial shower, doing things that really put you back into your body, like grounding exercises, somatic therapies. That's really a good way to process your emotions and these unconscious, uncomfortable thoughts that are getting stuck in your body. You could even look towards, a shamanic practice, like seeing a therapist, going to a mediator, looking at, a psychic reading, someone to help guide you and point you into a direction. You don't have to feel guilty for looking for that. Just looking for that, it's strengthening your adaptation to wanting to know what the fuck is wrong with you. And no one can fault you for that. Here, let me put this light on. Oh, so bright. Okay, look at that. Now we're cooking. Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, there's a lot of different ways to engage in shadow work. Whether you are more science leaning or you're more spirituality leaning, there's a lot of things that you can do to at least catch yourself in the thought and just think, I don't want to think this anymore. Just in that is something profound. You're breaking a cycle, you're inciting new change, and you're breaking a pattern. And that is really powerful, and you shouldn't skimp on giving yourself credit, right? At least I don't think. So, I don't even know. Shadow work it's not limited. Shadow work is not something that should be feared and looked at with such reverence that you don't try to practice it every day or whenever you catch yourself. Shadow work also doesn't have to be, pedantic and meaningless as, just being, jaded and snarky with yourself and saying, oh yeah, I'll just drink water, whatever. Like, yeah, it could be something more than that. Like, shadow work there's work in the name. You gotta work at it. But it doesn't have to be like going to the gym and running 5 miles. It could just be like walking to the mailbox twice in one day to start. You know, shadow work can be just driving the long way home and then screaming out the fucking window because you're just so fucking beside yourself. Shadow work can be extra vibrator time. No worries. Who cares? I'm ordering pizza because I got a coupon. Fuck the diet. Shadow work can just be fuck the dishes. I'm breaking all of my plates and feeling good about it. There's lots of different opportunities for expression that we can dive into, and I want to dive into. The release and the self-exploration, it doesn't have to be marred with insecurity and fear and worrying about this validation. I give you the validation. You need to give yourself the validation. And I hope when you do find that validation or motivation or focus or galvanizing fucking power, you definitely come back and you check in and you tell me about it, because I would love to hear about it. So in conclusion, I don't even have a conclusion just yet. Shadow work is something that is going to take forever, not to make it sound dismal by any means, but for example, I broke my spine in 2 places when I was 21. And my surgeon told me, you're going to have chronic pain forever. This is going to be a lifelong pain, blah, 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 right? And I feel like in a lot of ways, shadow work is like that. Like, this is going to be a forever learning curve. This is going to be something that I'm always learning new things about, and I'm always going to be practicing. I'm never going to be an expert at it, and that's fine, I think, just to make you guys more comfortable, or make you, more softened to exactly what shadow work is, I'll give you an example, right? So I practice shadow work every fucking day. It's always a struggle. Sometimes it's unyielding because it's an everyday thing. I have a lot of behaviors I need to unlearn and a lot of perceptions which are skewed, and it's not my fault, right? I always have to remind myself that. I always tell myself, it's not your fault, you can't take that on, whatever, right? So one of those things is, for example, where I work. Where I work, I feel like everyone hates me. I feel like I can't make a friend to save my fucking life, and I've been there for like a year. So every single day, for example, today, some coworker who is super social with everyone else didn't reciprocate when I said good morning in the break room. And it was like obviously weird. I felt like a physical, nonverbal, she didn't want to fucking communicate with me type of vibe. And if you know, you know, right? And I get in my head and I tell myself, like, well, who would want to be friends with you anyway? It's because you did that awkward thing in the meeting last week. It's because, XYZ. I will explain her shitty behavior or her perceived shitty behavior. I don't know. It's 7 a.m. Like, we're all fucking, like, half awake. Like, I can't take it personally what she's doing, right? But I'm perceiving her behavior as a direct response to my awkwardness, my lack of social grace, I can go on with all these reasons, and it's a very deep-seated belief because I remember years ago, I was a little kid. I was crying to my dad, who is a, drug addict, never terrible person all around, right? And I was saying, like, why don't I know, I don't have any relatives. I know you and mom and your parents and your sister and your kids, but I hear all these stories of all these aunts and uncles and all these parties and all these relatives. Why don't I know them? I want to know them, right? I was a little kid and I was upset about it. And my father said to me, he brought something up like, oh, you remember when you were crying about whatever? It's because of that. No one wants to know you. And I was a little kid, and he had problems, and he, whatever. And ever since then, I always remember that. Like, it's a reason I always go back to explain why people might not take my offer of friendship. I ask them to hang out. Oh, they seem like they don't want to talk to me. It's always something that my brain jumps to. And I take that so personally. I internalize it so hard, and then it ruminates. It gets worse and it gets harder. And I start saying like, well, your mother never even wanted to live with you. She didn't even speak English as a first language. And she didn't even fucking teach you her language. How much did she not want to fucking know you? And then I think of all my exes. And I think of all the friends that I've fallen off with. And I think of that one time an employer from 10 years ago didn't offer me health insurance. And then I think, and then it just spirals and spirals and it gets so big and out of hand. It encompasses so many unresolved insecurities and bad memories that I have that it will consume me. It grips me, right? And I thought to myself, I was just, leaving the break room. I was like, okay, it's weird that she chose not to say hi to me, even though she knows I said hi to her. We made eye fucking contact. There's no one else in the break room. Like, weird. She talks to everyone else in the fucking office but me, but whatever. And I was leaving and I was walking back to my desk and I was feeling so sad. I was feeling so shitty about myself because if you know anything about me, I want like friendship so badly. So to go to work and to see like all these like cliques and all these like people hanging out and like it's hard for me to like enter those social dynamics. I take it like there's a problem with me. And even if there is, and this is where the shadow work comes in, even if there is, it's not on me to make others like me. I just need to focus on being my authentic self. When I go to work, I owe it to myself to have a good morning. That means brushing my teeth, getting ready, getting dressed all nice and cute, taking time to do my makeup, having breakfast, and driving where I'm not rushing and killing myself. And then go to work and then be authentically there. If I hate my job, fuck it. If I'm happy to be there for the free coffee, cool. But I can't just go to work upset about how I might rub people off or how people might react to me. I need to react and respond to my environment myself independently of those wants and needs and of those insecurities of thinking, well, if she doesn't talk to me, then no one's going to talk to me and no one's going to be friends with me because no one likes me and then blah, 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 blah. And even if that is true, I need to be more secure in my own self to not care because I need to have my own back. And that's also part of shadow work, talking myself through it. No, you have a lot of good qualities. Anyone would be good, like, really fucking lucky to have you as her, the friend or whatever. So it's not that you're not anyone to know. It's just, don't fucking know this, bitch. Find other people, better people. You have to build up this dialogue with yourself. You have to talk to yourself and coach yourself and bring yourself out of that fucking danger zone, off that ledge, which it's very valid why you jump to it, but you don't have to jump to it. So that's something that I've been dealing with. I'm having some work party this week with some coworkers, and already I'm like, oh, what should I wear? I want to talk to people. What do I say? I just need to show up as myself. That needs to be the exercise, not preparing what I'm going to say, not thinking about what's going to happen. And when I catch myself thinking about what's going to happen, so all the bad things that might happen if I say something awkward, or if I interrupt their game of cornhole awkwardly because I'm an awkward motherfucker and I do everything awkward, whatever, even doing that shit, I still need to just do it. If that's what I'm going to do, just authentically be awkward. Have your own back while you're doing it, and don't make yourself feel shame. That's the work. And it is work. It's not just going to happen after one time. It's not just going to happen after thinking about it really quickly. It's going to take work, and a lot of times you're just going to have to fake it until it starts to catch up. Just show up and pretend you're confident and just talk to them. And if it's awkward and you fucking shit yourself and fall and shit yourself some more, at least you tried. And you can be nice to yourself for that, right? That's the shadow work. At least as I know it right now, It's really, really important to approach shadow work with compassion and patience. It's going to take time, and it's going to be fucking uncomfortable, but you owe it to yourself to do, and you can do it. You really can. Remember, like, shadow work, it's not just enhancing your own personal growth, but it's also enhancing the relationships you have with other people and how you interact with other people in other situations. Like, it's a really good thing, and I'm here for you while you go through it. So that is all the time for today, this Monday. Next Monday, we're going to talk a little bit about shadow work. We're going to recap this episode. But we're also going to dive into the realm of fucking ancient medicine and explore how these different medicines can be harnessed to facilitate shadow work and self-sorcery. I'm going to be focusing exclusively on dream interpretation as a tool for self-discovery and self-healing. Also, going into other really fascinating topics. I don't want to give too much away, but they're going to be like very effective methods for processing and releasing the pain, the trauma that we have in our body. So it's going to be more of a physical and biological, psychological aspect of shadow work and paganism, how it can be utilized for shadow work. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about that. I really hope that you join me. Like I said, on Monday, it'll be another episode like this. But on Wednesday, same time, 8 p.m., we're going to be discussing death, dying, and bereavement. And especially in the lens of absolute fucking bullshit and this fucking dysfunction. So, I don't know. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Be sure to like and subscribe and share. Comment your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And until next time, take care and keep exploring the depths within. Let me know what you